Welcome back to my channel, guys, and today we're going to discuss characteristics, processes, and ethics of research for practical research 1. Ako nga pala si Teacher Say, a secondary school teacher 2 of Angeles City, senior high school, schools division of Angeles City. So, let's start. Okay, so let's start with discussing characteristics, processes, and ethics of research. So here's the code below and the resource that I'll be using. So our objective for today is to identify the characteristics of research, other characteristics of qualitative research, types of research, ethics and research, functions of ethics, some ethical principles, ethical considerations in qualitative research, and the research process. So before we start, identify some words that is related to research here. Then you write it down in the comment section. So let's start with characteristics of research. So research is empirical. When say empirical, paulit-ulit siya. Okay, there is a cycle being done. Okay, so once a research is done, it's not yet thoroughly finished unless it is proven. So another research. Systematic. It follows a scientific process. Later we'll be discussing them. Then controlled. Some research are in a controlled environment, like experimental research, wherein you have a control variable and you have an experimental variable. But most of the time, minsan nasa isang lugar lang siya, kontrolado mo yung lugar, may isang organization lang, okay? So you know that the results are based on those controlled variables. Employs hypothesis. Hypothesis is basically scientific guess. So huhulaan mo, pero may scientific basis. Okay? Yun yung hunch or guess kung ano yung magiging result. It's analytical. When say analytical, you use your analysis to figure out what does this data are about. Objective, so it means you are not going to be biased on what the results would be, and of course it's an original work. We don't like any plagiarized works in research. Then we have other characteristics of research. We're in concern for context and meaning, which means we really want to get the idea or the main description, definition, meaning of the phenomena at hand. Okay, natural occurring settings. It happens in the real world. Okay, humans as instruments. We in qualitative research we use humans as our main instrument. When say instrument, yun yung pinagkukunan natin ng data. So most of the time we interview, okay, we send surveys, we record them, so on and so forth. Descriptive data. In qualitative research, it's more on descriptive. When say descriptive, we use words compared to a quantitative research wherein we use numbers. And emergent design. It means nade-develop through time. So types of research, we have library research, field research, and laboratory research. Wherein two of which possible sila. Library is more on qualitative most of the time. Field, pwede siya maging experimental, pwede siya maging quantitative, pwede siya maging qualitative. And laboratory research are more on quantitative approach. So with that, let's continue with ethics and research. When we talk about ethics, it refers to as norms for conduct that distinguish between acceptable and unacceptable. Okay? Maraming bagay kasi, especially in research, that you need to take into consideration, not just plagiarism, okay, when you are conducting a research. Later, we'll talk about them. It is considered as a method, procedure, or perspective for dividing how to act and for analyzing complex problems and issues. So, how can you analyze phenomena if you are violating some ethical considerations? Okay, mahirap kasi yun. Like for example, being biased, that is very unethical in research. So, what is the functions of research? First, norms promote the aid of research such as knowledge, truth, and evidence of error. So, syempre, we need, when say norms, ito yung pangkalahatang ugali sa isang community. So, if you're a researcher, you are following a certain norms, I mean, that you need to follow, which are under ethics. Okay? Bakit natin kailangan gawin yun? Syempre, we are promoting knowledge. Okay? Katalinuhan, katotohanan, tsaka evidences na less error. Okay? Ethical standards promote the values that are essential to collaborative work such as trust, accountability, mutual respect, and fairness. Of course, we need to have that kind of commitment. Siyempre, we're researchers, we're giving knowledge, dapat mapagkakatiwalaan tayo. And if may mali tayo, we need to be accountable to correct those mistakes. Siyempre, mutual respect between the interviewer, which is the researcher, and the interviewee, which is the subject. Also fairness. When you are part of a group of researchers, dapat fair kayo sa pagbibigay ng task kasi a research can be used to promote yourself in your work. If pare-parehas kayong researchers or co-authors pero isa hindi naman talaga nagtatrabaho, that will be unfair. Okay, especially for you students, you always experience this. Pare-parehas kayong 95 for example sa research pero yung isa taga-print. Okay? Where's fairness there? Then, ethical norms ensure that research can be held accountable to the public. Sabi ko nga kanina, if there's a mistake in your research, you need to be responsible enough to correct your mistakes. Then, ethical norms in research is research that helps build public support, quality, and integrity of research. Hey, how will the government support you in your research and if you are not really that trustworthy enough? If your research is just a rushed one, okay, yung minadali nyo lang. I'll cite an example from my alma mater, Angeles City Science High School. Aksai. Okay, sa Aksai, they are known to produce researches that are globally competitive. Ang dami nilang na-produce na research na mayroong mga sponsors. Okay, private sponsors yan Okay, so it means people trust them with their products, with their research. Okay, that's why there are investors. There is someone who wants to sponsor them to present it to the world. Ganun din sa atin. Eh, paano naman, let's say, you have a good business proposals are like research. How will someone be sponsoring you or investing in you if your paper is not that good? Okay, it's the same with the research. Then, some ethical principles. Siyempre, we have honesty, objectivity, integrity, carefulness, openness, transparency, accountability, intellectual property, confidentiality. It's very important, okay? Confidentiality. Responsible publication, responsible mentoring, respect colleagues, social responsibility, non-discrimination, competence, and legality. These are just some of the ethical principles that you need to consider. Okay? Ethical considerations in qualitative research. First, the kind of information obtained because of the length and personal interaction that ensues when doing a qualitative inquiry may give rise to an issue or issues. Okay. Again, personal interaction. As a researcher, you need to separate yourself from your subjects. Okay. You need to be objective, not subjective. You should not be biased on your research even though you already know the result. Okay? The researcher is expected to act professionally, maintaining respect towards them. Okay? As a researcher, sabi ko nga, you need to be trustworthy enough to people to speak to you, to people to invest to you. Okay? The issue of anonymity and confidentiality are to be observed. Just like what we mentioned kanina, confidentiality. Okay? You always hide your respondent's name with, let's say, student 1. Okay? Respondent 1. You don't give the name Juan de la Cruz to that person. You will not give his or her name on your research. That is unethical. Okay? I had a research I paneled the research in the past wherein nandun lahat ng pangalan, estudyante, nandun lahat ng grades. Sabi ko, ulitin nyo to, this is not ethical. You remove the names, you change it to student 1, 2, 3, 4 onwards. Okay? That is very unethical. Okay? Kaya nga, if you notice, yung SWS survey, hindi nila pinapakita ang pangalan ng mga nagsabing kontra sila sa government, okay? Approve sila sa government because that is already confidential enough. Okay? The researcher is expected to give back to the subject or participants of the research to show appreciation for their commitment of time, effort, and cooperation. Guys, it is very simple. Okay? Tokens. Kahit maliit na token lang will do because these persons that you used as participants or subjects have their own time. Okay? Let's say they are businessmen. Time is money for them. If they will give let's say 30 minutes of their time for you to have to be interviewed sila, 30 minutes is 30 minutes. Pera yon para sa kanila. The researcher writes a letter and seek to be allowed to conduct a study. Of course, we need to start with a letter. Why is ethics important in research? Basically, meron tayong pina-follow na rules. Okay? We set rules and standards. Then, the research process, basically scientific method. We define research problem, review the literature, formulate hypothesis, design research, collect data, analyze data, and interpret. And report. So, how will it be helpful for you as a researcher if you know the characteristics of research? You may post this video and write your answer on the comment section. Then, what are the common mistakes of researchers in relation to ethics? Again, you may post this video and write your answer in the comment section. And that's all for today, guys. We'll see you again next time on our next lesson. We hope you learned something. Thank you for watching. Good day.